Hello.
Hi,
Hello. How are you both doing today?
good, thanks.
Yeah.
Um, Good. I'm glad to hear that. So your like video things are stuck in my queue, but I was just looking over them after they got reviewed to make sure I can send them out. And I'm glad to have you both here today because we can talk about some things and work on some things that I saw in there. So you both looked really, really good, which is super exciting. Two things that I want to point out is one is that Joe, I think that you are ready to start doing some push-ups on the ground instead of on the wall. Those look way too easy for you.
Yeah,
So I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but you can either do them from your knees, and we're going to do them today. We can go over this at the time, or you can find an elevated surface to do them from, like a countertop or something on the ground. Some people have a step-up thing. You both looked really good with your squats, which is awesome. And you both looked good with your hinges, but I think that is something that I would like to work on with you both today to see how you feel about them. Laura, your hinge was great. How are you feeling about it? And Joe, how are you feeling about it?
oh, okay. I don't think I have any problem with the squats and the hinges, except that I know I'm not clear on the form. I'm bending my body forward, I think, when it should be straight. So it's just I'm unclear.
Okay, that's helpful
What
for me to understand. How are you feeling, Laura?
Oh, I feel good about them.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. All right, good. So if you have any tips on the form then, because you feel good about them as we go over them today, let me know. I'd like us to all feel really comfortable with them so that we can start adding load to them and we can start doing more stuff in these sessions. So on each of your forms, you have recommendations based on what I saw, but any information that you can give me after that is going to help solidify those recommendations. So we're going to start today before our warm up with 5 hinges, and then we're going to go into our warm up. So I'm going to show you both something really quick. So when you're hinging or deadlifting, I want you to imagine that someone is taking a pole like this connected to your belt buckle, and they're pushing your hips back. And they're pushing your hips back as far as they can go. So right here, I start to feel this in the back of my legs. If I touch the back of my legs, that muscle is very activated. And then it's like they're pulling my hips forward. So even though you see my chest going down, I'm not bending from the waist like this. And I'm not bending from my knees, even though you might see them flex a little bit. What I'm really doing is moving my hips back, back, back like this, and then driving them forward. Does that make sense?
Yes.
yes.
All right, perfect. Perfect. So that's really the big thing with the hinge. So we're going to start with 5 of those for our warm up before we get started. So I want you to have your feet hip width apart, if not more. Make sure those knees are nice and soft and springy. And then think about someone is pushing into these hips. You can even use your hands to push your hips yourself. You're pushing those hips back. Your toes are going to want to come off the ground. They might even come off the ground. And that's okay for right now as long as you can balance. And then someone is pulling these hips forward. Just start with 5 of those. Nice. Perfect. All right, good. That looks really good, Joe. I can't see you, Lauren, but I'm sure that you look excellent.
Oh, maybe I can. Let's see.
I love the colors in your house.
Thank you. Don't mind the mess.
No worries. All right, cool. All right, so we're going to start with our warm up today. We want to start with the head. So we're going to go ahead and connect to the left ear to the left shoulder. Gently bringing our chin around to the front of our chest, right ear to right shoulder. And then we're going to go back where we came from, left ear to left shoulder. Now you guys can go ahead and do this 5 more times on your own. Do whatever feels good for you. If you find you don't like to roll the neck forward, you can always just go left to right. You can tick-tock on one side, your head a little bit, and see if you can work some stuff out. If that feels good, you're welcome to do whatever you would like. If your hands are up here, it's going to make the stretch a little bit less, which is going to actually feel really good for some people. If you want the stretch to be more, you can let your hands be very long. And so if you feel tension here today, which most of us will, try not to judge it, just take note that it's there. All right, so when we're done with that, we're gonna go to these shoulders. I want you to roll them back, big rolls for 8, and then we're gonna roll them forwards for 8. Nice. So today, as we move through this stuff, if you have any questions, concerns, aches or pains, let me know. Nice. And then we're gonna move forward for 8. Nice. Once you're done with that, you can spread the legs out so you have a good base of support, and you're just gonna let those arms hang heavy. So don't let your muscles hold these arms up. Really just let them hang like you have dead arms, and you're gonna go back and forth. Nice.
Oh, oh,
Uh-oh. Yes, nice. All right, you can start to slow this down and bring it back to a neutral position. And when we get back to the center of these hips, we're going to think about making hip circles. So I really want you to think about, you brought your hip out to the left, you brought it out to the front, you brought it out to the right, and you brought it out to the back, and see if you can turn that into a nice big hip circle. The rest of your body is not moving, just these hips are moving. That looks really good, Joe. That looks good, Lauren. Nice. So we're going to go for 8 in this direction and then 8 in the other direction. Nice. How's everybody's Sunday? How is everyone's Easter if you celebrate Easter?
fun. Yeah.
Good.
Well, it was the day after our vaccination, so I was pretty tired.
Oh gosh, I can only imagine. Are you both fully vaccinated now?
Yes.
Yes,
Yay, that's exciting. Congratulations.
Yes.
yeah.
I had 2 days of being in bed.
Oh, wow.
Not fun.
On your second one?
Yes.
Which one did you get?
Pfizer.
Oh, yeah, I got the Moderna.
Nice. Were you tired? And then you're going to go to the knees after this with knee circles.
Tired, aches and pains in my joints and muscles.
Oh, geez. Well, I guess that's good, right? It means your immune system was working.
I had no commitment, so I just sort of spent it in bed.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
That's good. I was really sick after my second one for like 4 days.
Oh, see? Yeah, what kind did you have?
I got Moderna and I had like a fever of 103 for 4 days. I got vertigo, which I've never had, and like couldn't really stand up.
Wow.
And I just felt like so sick. Like I couldn't sit up and do work. It was so weird. And then finally it just like on day 3 it was a little better. And then day 4 it was a little better. And then day 5 I could actually like sit up for the whole day. But it took like a good week before it like fully went off. And then we're gonna go to the ankles. I've heard that it's making younger people much more sick. I don't know why.
Oh, yes, I heard that too.
Yeah,
That's why I was surprised that I had the reactions.
My friend's mom has it like I had it. She's a week in and she still like feels weird, especially in the
Yeah.
afternoon. It's interesting.
And
Everyone's different.
and my emotional, I had ups and downs, and
Well, that's
so
not
Yeah, I
fun.
was like that too. I didn't think it, I didn't suspect it was the vaccination.
right, I was irritable, I was wild, I was depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, can you imagine what COVID would do to our bodies
Oh God, yes.
if that's what the vaccine did? They just put
Yeah.
a study out that people who got COVID, I don't remember the numbers, but a really high percent of them, 90% or something, are being diagnosed with neurological or mental health issues.
Yeah,
It's like
I can
very
well
tied to, yeah, how they feel with that virus. All right, how are you both feeling today?
fantastic.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, so we're going to start with these hinges. We're going to go for 10 of them. And we're going to start without weight on the first circuit, and then we're going to add weight on the second circuit if everyone is feeling good. So your goal here is just to get your body warmed up. I want you to think about having these nice and springy knees, and you're really going to think about these hips going back and driving forward. Each time you go back, I really want you to think about these muscles in the back of your leg. Do you feel them? And if you do, great. I don't want to see you bring your chest down more than your hips are going back. Yes?
Are you thrusting your pelvis forward?
Yes, to a certain degree I am. So this one is tricky. So usually you have a pretty decent amount of weight on your body to do this, and you do have to thrust it forward, but you just want to make sure you stop at the neutral position. You don't go way
Okay.
forward. But
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. Nice. You both look really good.
Why is this such an essential exercise?
Sure, I'm happy to chat about that. So the hip joint is a very big joint on your body. So your knees, if you think about your knee joint versus your hip joint is a much, much bigger joint. So the hips are designed to be able to lift a lot more weight. So it's a very functional type of movement because it allows you to protect your lower back. Once you add weight to it, it actually is really good for your back, contrary to what people have thought. All of the evidence points to your spine needs load to be healthy, just like your body needs water. So when I say load, I mean weight. Our spines need to be having weight on them and moving through certain ranges of motion to stay healthy. And so, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can lift weights. You can lift them with your arms, you can push them overhead, but some of the two fundamental ones are the squat, where you're like sitting in a chair, and the deadlift. So if you think about these two motions, when I squat down, a lot of this is coming from my knees as opposed to when I hinge with my hips. So if I have something really heavy I need to carry, my knees aren't as strong. If you look at Olympic lifters, when they're lifting a heavy enough weight, they have to wrap up their knees to protect them so that they can support that big bar across their back and all that load. So the hips are designed to actually be able to lift quite a bit of weight. So like if you were to get into a gym, you could build up the weight that you can lift on your hips much quicker than you'll be able to squat it. And it's because you have a big joint here and it's designed to be able to lift that weight. So how does that apply in real life? Well, it applies to a lot of ways that we carry things and a lot of the ways that we lift things. So if you even think about if you're gardening and you have a big bag of sand on your countertop, one thing that you can do to get that, instead of squatting down and getting it on you and standing up, you can think about hinging it. Let's say it's on a chair actually, and you need to hinge down. You want to get it really close to you. And then if you can use your hips to drive yourself up to a standing position, it's going to be a lot more stable, a lot better for your knees, and you're going to feel a lot stronger. So it's just a way you can lift things. Some other ways that people have applied it who do a lot of deadlifting, like my business partner, used it to lift a huge rock in someone's garden. There was like 5 guys there all trying to lift this rock. And because he had his deadlift down, he was able to by himself deadlift the rock into position because you're very powerful using this part of your body. So it's just about knowing how to use it and then finding ways that it might be applicable to you.
Okay.
Another one we've talked about is when you pick up the groceries from the ground. So a lot of people will bend to pick up the groceries. That's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, but it's not the most efficient way to pick them up, especially if you're going to grab a lot of bags in your hand. The most efficient way to do that, again, is to use this bigger joint up here and these hips and deadlift up the groceries to the position that you want to carry them in. That's going to be a lot more stable, a lot easier on your body, and feel a lot stronger. Some other reasons that we do this deadlift exercise that we'll get into in the next few sessions is you can do one leg, single leg deadlifts, or rear leg deadlifts, and I'll start to show you those, and those are going to be something you might be able to apply a little more to everyday life situations. But if you're driving the car or you're in the car with a friend, you have to take something out of the trunk or the back seat. Again, if you can get really close to it, and especially if it's like a bag of something, it's going to be easier for you to use your hips to get it from here to here than it is going to be to bend down and stand up with it.
So when you're here, you're really going to be using the glutes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
And using sort of the tops, the flexors here.
Yes, and especially the hamstrings here.
And
feel. When you go back, these guys are going to get really tight. And then when you lift, it's going to be all these muscles in the back.
Okay. I notice when I go back, I end up on my heels and then I'm a little off balance.
Yeah, so that's something that's going to happen in the beginning. So just be careful with that. You can always go so that your butt is touching the wall, so that if you did lose the balance, you could go back towards the wall. Eventually, you are going to want to try to find a way to keep that weight in the middle of your foot. But while you're learning it, it's really important to first really feel that pattern. And the best way to feel that is not going to be to worry about the feet. But eventually, yes, you are going to want those feet very connected onto the ground, almost gripping the ground, and still being able to do the pattern. All right, cool. So do you guys have any weights with you today?
Yes.
Perfect. What like sizes do you have?
I have 2 pounds and 5 pounds, and I'm going to use the 2 pounds.
Perfect.
I have the 2 pounds.
Perfect. Let's go with those 2 pounds. All right. So the first exercise we're going to do, we're going to have these weights racked. So that means they're going to be up next to our body. So I'm going to go over this with you quick before we do it. If your weights are out here, I have to use a lot of muscle to hold them out here, and they're going to make me tired. If my weights are close to my body, even somehow resting on my body, then I don't need to use as much energy to hold them. So you can find some ways to hold these weights. Whatever you do, you want them close to your body. Same thing with your shoulder. My shoulder is nicely in its socket. It's very strong and stable. If my shoulder were to be somewhere weird and I had to hold this weight, it's going to be really, really challenging to hold. So you're going to hold these weights wherever you're comfortable holding them. Again, if it feels okay, you can let them rest. With the lighter ones, with heavier ones, you're just going to have to hold on to them. I want you to make sure you're gripping them nice and tight. With these light weights, it's very easy to not think about that, but as we get heavier, that grip is really important. And then we're going to do the squats with these weights. So this is when you think about you're sitting in a chair and then you're standing back up. And I want you to go for 10 of those.
And we're still
This one's like you're sitting in a chair. So in an ideal world, I wouldn't worry too much right now about your torso. There's a lot of things that you can do with it to put it in a different position. But I want you to think about you're just sitting down in a chair and you're standing back up. So the spine is designed to take load. And one of the big fallacies that we have is that the spine can't take load in certain orientations. Like if your back is not perfect when you squat, then maybe something bad is going to happen. But the reality of it is that in real life, we're in all kinds of positions carrying things, whether it's a backpack, some groceries, a book, and our spine is taking that load. So they found that with the squat in particular, there's nothing bad that's going to happen as long as we don't do too many too quickly. There's nothing bad that's going to happen if you're not in the quote unquote perfect position. It's better to be in a position that works for you. So with this, you're just thinking about sitting in a chair and standing back up. You both look totally fine. Some people will be really far forward, that we would correct, but otherwise you look good.
So it's different from the first thing we did, which is what's it called?
It's called a deadlift.
The deadlift. So we're going back and we're bending, at our knees, but we're coming up the same way as the deadlift.
No, so I'll grab this chair here and show you. I'm going to grab two chairs.
Okay.
And show you. So if I had this really low chair here, okay, and I needed to sit in it, there would be no way for me to deadlift myself into this chair. I'd have to use my knees eventually to get on it. So the best way to think about a squat, which is what we're doing now, is it's coming more from this part of your legs here. It's working these muscles. So it's like this pattern if I had to sit in a really low chair. And then to stand up, it's the same thing. It's more coming from this front muscle here. I need to use that muscle to stand back up. So in a higher chair, I know that that pattern is not as obvious. But now that you've seen it, pretend this ball is a chair. I'm going to sit back down on this ball. And then I'm going to try to think about recruiting these muscles here, getting my feet nice and strong, and standing back up. And this is going to come again more from the knee. So without a ball, the squat looks like this. You don't have to go this low. If you can go that low, great. But this movement is coming more from these legs bending and your butt going towards the ground than your hips going back.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Yes. Does that make sense? So I like to use a chair for it because it's an easier way to feel it. If you have one. If you don't have one, you can use an imaginary one. We're going to go for 10. Nice. That looks good. So think about that front muscle in your legs. You should feel that burning in a different part of your legs. You're sitting down in that chair and standing back up. Your butt does have to go back to a certain degree. That's why it feels a little confusing, but it's more coming from these knees. Nice. Nice. And we're going for 10. You both look really good. Nice. Awesome. All right, so the next one we're going to try together, and you can let me know how it feels. I don't know if I can stand up and you can still see me, but I'm going to try. So for this one, we're going to work on the upper part of our body. We're basically going to take these weights. I don't have two little ones, so I have two different ones, but you'll have two little ones. You're going to bring them up like this. And then when they get here, you're going to start to turn them towards the camera and bring them up like that. So yes, and then bring them up like that. And then you're going to bring them down as you start to turn them back to your body. Bring them down here. Yes, and we're going to do again. So you're going to curl them up You can turn them just a little bit or all the way. It depends what feels good for you. You're gonna press them over your head, bring them back down, turn them towards you, and then do this. How does that feel for both of you?
Well, I have arthritis in both shoulders, so I have to be very careful.
Perfect. So does that feel okay?
Yeah, as long as I don't overdo the lift.
Perfect. So let's have you do 5 of those. Is 5 reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, good. So one thing that they've found with arthritis is the best way that we're going to correct that one is motion is lotion. I know it doesn't feel good. Arthritis is super painful. Those joints are inflamed. It's not fun to have that. But what they found is that A, adding load in the right capacity, and B, continuing to move in the range of motion is going to help to work with some of that arthritis. So what we want to work on is increasing your capacity without causing any injury. So just like you noted, we want to keep that nice and slow and controlled. We don't want to go too far too fast. But over time, we can start to build and build and build so that you feel stronger and you feel better in those areas. And that's going to help with that arthritis.
I have to remember to use the trapezoid muscles to do the work.
Perfect. So we want to get all those muscles nice and strong. Like if you think about your muscles as a team project, we want each and every one of them doing their job. It's good right now that you're finding that's what feels good. Eventually, we're going to want to try and find that with all the little muscles so they can all work together so one doesn't have to get more tired or do more of the work than the other one. Does that make sense?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So we did 5 of those. So we're going to go back to these deadlifts. So this time you're going to have your weights in your hand. Now the weights a lot of times make people do deadlift the wrong way, but I want you to imagine you don't have these weights here. Obviously still hold on to them, but don't focus on them. So you're going to take these weights and you're going to basically connect them to the front of your leg. So it's like they're going to be sliding up and down my leg. Outside of that, I don't want you to think about these weights. What I want you to think about is your feet are apart, your knees are soft, and you're bringing those hips back, back until this weight gets around knee height, and then you're going to drive these hips forward. Nice. Good. So let those arms be nice and heavy, like straight, very straight. Awesome. You both look really good. Yes. It's okay if that weight rolls past your knee. It's totally fine. The knee is just a height where you're going to probably be able to maintain that balance on the ground with those feet. But you're welcome to go lower. If you can bring those hips back further, there's no reason you can't bring those weights lower. Nice. And you're going for 10 of these. Nice. Lauren, how does it push-ups feel for you when you do those on your shoulders? The wall push-ups.
Oh, the wall push-ups? Those are okay as long as I use the upper back muscles.
Okay, perfect. Nice. When you get to 10, you can put those weights down. All right, so we're going to finish with 2 things today. The first one is going to be an exercise designed to get our heart rate up. And the second one is going to take us out of flight mode and start to calm us back down. So for the first one, we're going to think about our feet and how they're designed to use. It's 12:32 or 3. If anyone has to go, you're welcome to jump off. So we're going to think about these feet. So your feet are designed to be very springy. A lot of times we don't use them anymore like they're designed because we have shoes on all the time and we just don't think about them. We're not hunting and gathering, so we don't really need them in the same capacity. So this exercise is really designed for your legs to feel very, very light and springy. It's maybe the third time you're doing it, so it might not feel like that right away, but so don't worry. But the goal is that you're gonna go up on these toes. So you're bringing your heels off the ground. And then I want you to think about slowly with the right leg, lowering that heel to the ground and then picking it back up. And then with the left leg, lowering that heel to the ground and picking it back up. Now your feet might feel tired from doing this already, but I just want you to do that one time on each side. So that's the way that your foot is designed to strike the ground, right? It's designed to strike the ground, take that force in the mid part of your foot, lower the heel, and then pick the other one back up. So we're gonna do a little exercise with that, where we're just alternating legs. So now you can start by picking up the right leg. You're gonna put it back down and place that ball of your foot on the ground first, then the heel, and then you're gonna pick up the left leg. So when you touch, you're thinking about the ball touching and then the heel. When you pick up, you think about the heel lifting and the ball touching. Now, if you can turn this into a little jog in place, again, you're thinking about the midpoint of the foot first when your foot touches that ground, and then the heel going down and absorbing it a little bit. Whoop, we lost your camera. So I want us to do that for 30 seconds. I'm gonna find the timer. And let me know if you have any questions. Again, right away, it's probably not gonna feel that easy or that good. And you're in control, remember, of this. So if you're like, I'm not ready to jog in place, you can take your time and go one leg at a time. If it feels really easy and light and hoppy, then you can go ahead and jog in place. But
So-
when you are, yes?
Yeah, okay, so you have your right ball of your foot down and your heel up, and then is it as your right heel comes up, the right
Yeah,
heel goes down?
We can do it together. So I think I confused
Okay.
you with the two that I gave you. So both feet on the ground to start. And we're gonna shift our weight over to the left leg. So more of my weight's gonna be in my left leg. As I do that, I'm gonna pick up the heel of my right leg. So I'm on the ball of my foot on my right leg. From the ball, I'm gonna press that leg up. And then I'm gonna put this leg back down, landing on the ball, and then gently landing on the heel, and then do the same thing on the other side. So as I do that, I shift my weight, and then I press the ball of my foot so it pushes my heel up. I press the ball of my foot and lower the heel down. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay, unfortunately, I do have to go, but
No
thank
worries.
you so much. Will we see
You're
you
welcome.
next week?
Yes, you'll see
Yeah.
me for the next couple of weeks until we
Oh,
get
good.
you guys the new trainer.
Okay, thank you so
Okay,
much.
perfect. You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day. That looks good, Joe. So I want you to just think about jogging in place, letting the ball of your foot land on that ground very gently, and it should feel very nice and soft and light. If it doesn't, let me know. But so the balls are landing and then the heels, the balls and the heels. So my feet are designed to feel very springy. Yes, nice. Good. Perfect. And we're gonna go for 10 more seconds.
Okay.
All right, good. That actually looks really good. Cool. All right, and you can relax.
Okay, great. I
So you did great today. Thank you. And one thing I want you to work on is finding a push-up that's not on the wall. You are very
Okay.
strong. And so find something, either a countertop or a raised surface this week. See if you can find something and do about 5 or 10 every other day,
Oh.
and let me know how that feels.
Okay, I will. Thanks, Jennifer.
You're
I
welcome.
have to go.